What's up, guys? Conor McGregor just came out with an Instagram post and it talks about the learning points he had from the fight. And it is a bit of a relieving post coming from his side. He pointed out some things that he did wrong. He pointed out some things that Khabib did right, the way he capitalized on him, the things he should have done in the fight, the things he couldn't do in the fight, some of the mistakes he probably made in training. Like he was talking about him fading in the fourth round and how that was his fault, maybe pointing to his cardio issues in the training camp. It's great to see Conor actually give some credit to Khabib as well as just learn from the experience and maybe come back. So I'm going to read the post for you guys really quick. So he starts with thoughts on my last fight. Round 1, I believe from a sports standpoint, round 1 was his top position against the fence, 0 position advancement or damage inflicted. But top position from a fight standpoint, the first round is mine. Actual shots landed and a willingness to engage, straight left early, knee to the head on the low shot, elbows in any and all tie-up scenarios, opponent just holding the legs against the cage for almost the entire round. Generally speaking, he is right. Generally speaking, he did land the shots in the first round. Damaging, you can't really say it, damaging shots. Low damaging shots, probably. Now, I'm not saying the potential of the knee is low damaging. I'm not saying the potential shots. I'm saying the shots that actually landed and what hit Khabib were low in damage. The potential on some of the shots could be pretty high, but they just weren't. So looking at reality, the damaging shots weren't really all there. And he is right, Khabib was holding on to him for the whole round. Then again, that's part of the sport. There is effective grappling. Khabib was using effective grappling. Were there any really effective striking? Not really. So of course the first round goes to Khabib. It's easy. Here I had some red flags. He's given himself some moral points here in terms of sport versus fight. Sport versus a street fight scenario. Giving him some points in other facets that really don't correlate here. This is very similar to what the Diaz brothers usually would do. If they are losing a fight, they'll say, but in a street fight, in my rules, I won that fight. Pretty much saying that they landed more punches, more strikes, therefore they're winning the fight. That's pretty much what Conor's saying here. He inflicted more damage in the first round. Fine. He landed a knee, he landed a couple shots there and there. But using the word damage, you have to be using it loosely because there really wasn't much damage in that first round from either side. Yeah, the knee it was very hard to see where it landed. Maybe Conor did see it land pretty clean. He felt it land pretty clean as Khabib was going for the takedown. Khabib never looked like he was damaged in that first round. So just by going off his words, he's pretty much downplaying what Khabib did while magnifying what he did. It's not really a good look. Then again, it's very strange to see someone give themselves moral points on a fight that they were mostly dominated in. It gives hunches of them maybe underestimating the opponent, them not thinking the rules are fair, them thinking that they actually did way better than what we all saw. It can create delusion. It can create a bigger ego figure. And if you do that to yourself, if this rematch ever comes again, there will be things that Conor may not be seeing in the fight and seeing in Khabib that is reality. And you will see later in the post how he says that if he didn't underestimate Khabib's striking, things would have been a lot different. But then again, in this, just the beginning of this post, it seems like he's still underestimating Khabib a little bit. He's saying all Khabib did was hold on to him. Of course, that's pretty much all he did, hold on to him, but how did he do it? He held Conor down against his will. It wasn't like Conor allowed him to do it. No, Conor was trying to stand up. He tried to defend the takedown. He defended it for a long period of time, but eventually got taken down. So he continues. Round 2, he is running away from the cage before being blessed with a right hand that changed the course of the round and the fight. It was a nice shot. After the shot, I bounced back to engage instantly, but again, he dipped under to disengage. That is a sport, and it was a smart move that led to a dominant round, so no issue, well played. If I stay switched on and give his stand-up a little bit more respect, that right hand never gets close, and we're talking completely different now. I gave his upright fighting no respect in preparation, no specific stand-up spars whatsoever. Attacking, grappling, wrestling only, that won't happen again. I also gave my attacking, grappling no respect, too defensive-minded. Lessons. Listen to nobody but yourself on your skill set. You are the master of your universe. I'm the master of this. I must take my own advice. Okay, so he's talking about mainly that right overhand. Now, he said he was blessed with it. Now, when you say he was blessed with it, you're pretty much saying it was a lucky shot. Was it a lucky shot? What determines a lucky shot? What does that mean, a lucky shot? Khabib meant to throw the shot. Conor said he was too defensive-minded. He was always thinking about that takedown. Whenever the takedown was present and whenever even a fake was there, and Khabib did dip a little bit before he threw it, and you saw Conor react to it as if Khabib was going to shoot at his hips or his legs. You saw Conor's upper body go forward and his legs and hips go back a little bit. He wasn't really expecting a right overhand. Was that a lucky shot? No, Khabib meant to throw the punch. He faked with a dip, threw the overhand, Conor caught the bait, and Khabib's punch was extremely fast. If that is a lucky punch, or he got blessed with that punch, then Tyron Woodley's right overhand on Robbie Lawler was a blessed punch, right? Faking on the inside, faking with these jabs and straight shots. Robbie Lawler admitted that he thought those shots were coming in close, and Tyron Woodley came over the top. He caught Robbie with a bait and caught him with the right overhand. Is now that a blessed shot? It's not. It's not a lucky shot at all. It's good preparation. It's good timing. It's a good setup on Khabib's part, and he caught Conor slipping up. That's all it is. How do knockouts happen? A fighter makes a mistake and another fighter capitalizes. That's how every knockout happens. If you get knocked out, you made a mistake. And the guy who knocked you out capitalized on your mistake. That's how all of it is. If you're going to say it's all a blessed punch, all knockouts are lucky then. Now, this wasn't a knockout, but this is the biggest shot of the entire fight. And it's great to see Conor admit that he did underestimate Khabib. It's very obvious he underestimated Khabib's striking. As you saw in my breakdown, I pointed this out as a big reason why Conor was getting caught by some shots. And the fact that he disrespected Khabib's striking and then all of a sudden got caught by it, and now he was forced to respect Khabib's striking more than he did coming into the fight. Everything changed inside the fight for him. Now he had to worry about other things that he wasn't prepared for. So just disrespecting one aspect of someone's game can really throw off the entire fight for you if you get caught by that thing you disrespected. And when Conor said after the shot, I bounced back to engage instantly, but again, he dipped under to disengage. That is the sport, and it was a smart move that led to a dominant round. Now, when he said it's part of the sport, again, there's some red flags there. It's like he's looking at it different. He's looking at sport different than fight. This is a sport. This is a sport. Yes, it consists of fighting, but it's still under a regulation of rules, right? Saying if this was a fight, it would be different. Bringing up things like street fight and all that sort of stuff, it means nothing. It means nothing. You're just giving yourself excuses, or you're giving yourself moral points here when they don't actually mean anything. So when Khabib dipped under and took Conor down afterward, and he used the word disengage to define Khabib taking him down, that's still disrespecting Khabib's game. That's still disrespecting what he was fighting up against. To say a takedown is disengaging, or to drive in for a takedown or clinch up or something is disengaging from the action, that's a little bit disrespectful to the art. He is right when he says if he gives Khabib more respect in his striking, the striking may be more so in his favor. I believe everybody agrees to that. And he does point out here how his training was a little bit off. You know, he wasn't training for stand-up. He was training a lot with grapplers and wrestlers. He said he was too defensive-minded. I'm guessing inside the fight and in the training. So if he's defensive-minded in the training, he's also going to be somewhat in the fight. It's all because of muscle memory inside of the training camp. So if you constantly drill defensive tactics and defensive methods to a specific style, that muscle memory is going to get thrown into the fight. I like when he says, you are your own master of the universe. I am the master of this. I must take my own advice. That's great. Obviously, he's going to take advice from his coaches too. So I know a lot of people are going to be saying, oh, he's conceited. You know, he knows more than the coaches. He's never going to learn, all this sort of stuff. I believe he's still going to learn from the coaches. I think he's just saying this. Then he goes on to round 3. After the worst round of my fighting career, I come back and win this round. Again, walking forward, walking him down, and willing to engage. I really like what he said here. Besides when he keeps defining or pointing to him striking with Khabib as quote-unquote engaging. He didn't make it this lengthy thing of how he destroyed Khabib. He made it very plain and simple. He knew what he did there. A lot of things he did in that round was right. Landed some good shots. He didn't even mention the right uppercut. Right? That was his biggest shot in the fight. You know, he didn't mention some of the shots he really caught Khabib with. So he made it plain and simple. Didn't really give himself too much credit. He could have given himself a little bit more credit in that third round. It's great to see him learning from the mistakes more than learning from what he did right. And he did admit round 2 was the worst round of his career. And that shows, of course, that he's going to go back and learn from that round specifically. Then he goes on to round 4. My recovery was not where it could have been there. That is my fault, pointing to the training most likely. Although winning the early exchanges in 4, he dips under again, and I end up in a bad position with over 3 on the clock. Yeah, that is a bad position. I work to regain position and end up upright with my back to the fence. A stable position. Here, however, I made a critical error of abandoning my overhook at this crucial time, exposing the back, and I end up beaten fair and square. What can I say? It was a great fight, and it was my pleasure. I will be back with my confidence high fully prepared. If it is not the rematch right away, no problem. I'll face the next in line. It's all me, always, anyway. See you soon, my fighting fans. I love you all. Solid take on the 4th round. Cardio wasn't there. He couldn't recover from the other rounds. But this is a recurrent issue. This isn't the first time. This isn't the second time. This isn't the third time. This is a recurrent issue. It is something he's going to have to focus on a little bit. But don't be what someone like Anthony Pettis did, where his wrestling was an issue and he focused too much on that and forgot everything else. Focus on the cardio, but also keep what you do great and continue to focus on that as well to strengthen that. So taking the blame for that is great. Saw his mistakes there. And even though he said he got in a stable position with his back up to the cage, Khabib always goes for figure four in the legs. So even if you do that, it's still a great position for Khabib. So it might be a stable position for you to hold your ground. It's still not great. It's still not a great position to be under Khabib. Khabib really manipulates you from that position. And the fact that he's lifting your legs off the ground with figure fouring them, it's also gassing you out. You're using your core a lot more now. He's putting pressure on top of you. He's trying to break your pulse away, land shots. If he can do that, work his way around, eventually try to get to your back like he did to Conor. It's a great analysis from Conor, right? There are other things that he isn't pointing out that I believe were huge things on Khabib's side that force a lot of openings for himself, such as him moving into Conor's left side constantly to force out a strike whenever Conor was pressuring him so he can escape the cage and the pressure, and then he finds his timing just because of those moments. He did that especially in the first round, if you go back and look at my breakdown, and he actually did it almost the entire fight. It was a constant tactic of his. Moving into the left side, redirect away whenever Conor threw out some giant strike, head kick, left hand, moved away from it, and even if it lands, Khabib is moving with it, so it's not going to create some great impact. And through this, he's finding the timing of Conor, finding the distance of Conor, and escaping the cage and the pressure of Conor. He is checking off boxes with one tactic. And not only that, the biggest thing he checks off is he knows when to engage on Conor. And that's what he did, especially in the first round. Just from the first situation when utilizing that tactic, he found every time he had to shoot in on Conor. That was a huge thing for Khabib. Then there were some cage grabbing, there was some shorts grabbing, there were some knees to the head when Khabib was on the ground. A lot of things that showed maybe some panic from Conor, maybe situations where he saw he was stuck, so he had to do something. And those cage grabs were really impacting. There was a point where Khabib was trying to get into full mount. If you go back and look at my breakdown, he was trying to get into full mount, and Conor had his toes in the cage with his right leg and his left side's against the cage. The fact that he was hooking onto the cage with his right foot, it didn't give Khabib an opening to slide through. So full mount was very present for Khabib in that situation. And another thing Conor has to give credit to Khabib for is the fact that Khabib can take a punch. I mean, he posted a picture of Conor landing a counter left hand on the inside straight to the chin of Khabib. And Khabib ate that thing. So if he's thinking in a rematch, I'll hit Khabib one time and he'll be out, you can't think like that anymore. He thought the same thing with Nate Diaz. He lost that fight, and in the rematch, he said, I believe I'm going to go 5 rounds with Nate Diaz. It'll be great if he has the same mentality with this one. Now, if you want to know more about the breakdown, I suggest you actually watch my breakdown. I broke down the entire fight for you guys. Very in-depth. I'm going to leave at the end of the video, but this is great to hear from Conor McGregor. I wonder who he's going to fight next, because he did say, I'll fight next in line. Now, what does that mean? Let's get into this now. What does that mean, quote-unquote, next in line? Does that mean next in line in terms of who he chooses? Who's the next in his line? Or is it who's the next in the lightweight division's line, right? If he's willing to fight the next in contention, which is most likely Dustin Poirier, because if he's not going to be fighting Khabib, which most hardcore fans, and actually a lot of casual fans at this point, want to see Tony Ferguson versus Khabib, Conor versus Dustin Poirier would be an excellent fight again. Rematch again, get Conor back into the swing of things. If he's a little bit ring rusted, which I believe he was a little bit in the fight, getting a fight with a guy like Dustin Poirier, who he has beaten before but is a different animal now, would be an excellent fight for Conor and an excellent fight for Dustin Poirier. The winner of the fight gets another title shot. See, if he's going to be fighting guys like Nate Diaz or go down a division or something like that, and that's what he means by next in line in terms of a money fight, will that warrant a title shot? Through meritocracy, it does not. But through the business, it can. And if he really wants to establish himself completely concrete as the next in line for the title shot, most likely he should be fighting Dustin Poirier. I don't know when he's going to be back. He did say he's going to be back very soon. That would be an excellent fight for Conor McGregor. And I see a lot of people on my Twitter especially really calling for that fight. So I'm really looking forward to what's next in line. But the most important fight for me here is Bring on Khabib versus Tony Ferguson. That is the fight the UFC should be making. In my opinion, the best fight UFC can make, period, right now. There is no fight they can make that's better than Khabib versus Tony Ferguson. It's a money fight as well. I guarantee you'll draw well. People say Jones versus Gus 2 is the best. That's second for me. This Khabib versus Tony, it has to be scheduled. Absolutely has to be scheduled. I understand it's the 5th time, but I believe this is the best time to ever do it. Who would ever think that we can have more anticipation for this fight than the 4th time? The 4th time was trending. They were saying it was trending to be over 1 million pay-per-view buys. Tony was the interim champion. Now we have the undisputed, undefeated lightweight champion against the former interim champion, and both guys are on an 11-fight win streak. I mean, come on. When have you ever seen 2 guys on an 11-fight win streak in the hardest division in the sport at this level of the game? We do not know who's the best lightweight in the world. We do not know. Who is the best lightweight of all time? This is the fight that will determine it. Is it Khabib? Is it Tony Ferguson? The winner of this fight is, in my opinion, the greatest lightweight of all time. People say BJ Penn. People throw out Frankie Edgar, Benson Henderson. Competition matters, man. Especially Tony Ferguson. Khabib also, he's beaten some really good guys. BJ Penns and Benson Hendersons and Frankie Eggers, the way they've beaten people and the guys they have fought pale in comparison to Khabib and Tony. And that's what really matters. So you look at title defenses, all that sort of stuff. Khabib defended 1 time, whatever. If those guys are fighting the guys Khabib and Tony are fighting, it'll be a very different story. Or at least that kind of level. Again, that's very subjective. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoyed my content, make sure to subscribe. Leave your comments below what you guys think about this post from Conor, and what do you guys think about what's happening next, because not only was this a good post technically and analytically from Conor, the last part saying that he is willing to fight who's next in line really opens up a lot of what can happen in the future of this division. So what do you guys think about all that? Who do you guys think Conor should be fighting next? Who do you guys think Khabib should be fighting next? Leave that in the comments below. And my next video is going to be about weight cuts, the truths about the weight cuts, and the dangers and all that sort of stuff. Be on the lookout for that. That's going to be most likely coming out tomorrow. Could also be coming out on Thursday. So be looking for that. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.